Hospital? Don't be ridiculous. Get your ass out of the hospital, even if you have to crawl back home. You're the housekeeper. My husband suddenly yelled at me on the phone. I was hospitalized with a high fever. For my husband Louis, no matter what the reason, the mere fact that he doesn't have a wife to do the housework is cause for anger. I usually do all the housework, but still, all he does is complain. And then when I get sick, instead of worrying about me, he gets upset. How narrow-minded is the man I married? I was deeply disappointed in myself for having chosen such a man as my husband. But it seems I was not the only one who thought so. When my mother-in-law heard my husband yelling, she said to me with a straight face, "Your nightmare ends here. Now, let's start fighting back." My name is Violet, a 35-year-old mom with a 1-year-old son. I work as a medical secretary at a hospital. My husband's name is Louis. I met him on blind date. My co-worker invited me to. We started dating right after. A few months after we got married, I got pregnant and I had a son, Eli. My life is pretty good, but recently, I'm having a major problem within the family. That is my relationship with my husband, Louis. He has been a dependable and sweet guy, and even after Eli was born, he was very supportive in raising our child, feeding him milk, changing his diapers and such. However, raising a child requires money. We have to work hard and save money for our son. But my husband doesn't like the idea of me going back to work. When I told him I wanted to leave Eli at daycare, he gave me a disapproving look. "What? Daycare? He just turned 1. But I'm thinking about the future, and I think I should work too. I want him to be able to do all the things he wants to do." "I don't care about that. If he can finish high school and college, that will be enough." "What? Even so, I think it's better to be prepared for all kinds of situations." "If that's the case, let him give up. It's his fault. He's not smart enough. You are a housewife. You should just take care of the house." "But, oh no." My husband yelled at me and showed his anger. I wanted to give my child the best environment possible. Was I the only one who thought that way? However, my husband is an ordinary businessman. He doesn't get paid well. Since I retired after giving birth to my son, we can no longer afford to save. After 6 months of talking about these circumstances over and over again, I succeeded in convincing my husband. I was able to return to work full-time. But the real hell started from there. After I started working, my husband's behavior changed drastically. Whenever I prepared a meal, he would sarcastically tell me that the food was too strong tasting, too bad to eat, and so on. Not even a winkle in the laundry was tolerated. If there is even a speck of dust or hair on the floor, he's in a bad mood for a few days. The only thing that saved me was that he was a good father to my son. He would play with Eli or even bathe him when he came home from work. But no matter how good his mood is, his attitude towards me never changes. And this happened the other day. I was working overtime and got home a little late. I picked up my son from daycare and rushed home. My husband was waiting for me with a devilish look on his face. "I'm home. Sorry, I'm late." "Sorry? Is that all you can say to me?" My husband was super angry at the door. Why do you come home later than me? I said I'm sorry. I had a lot to do at work. Don't make excuses. Why are you so bad at everything? You should have stayed home and focused on the housework. But the household situation is getting better because we both work, right? Don't talk back. You do as I say. Hey, lower your voice. Eli can hear you yelling. Even though he'd still won, I didn't want him to see his father yelling. But ever since that day, my husband's been yelling at me in front of him. Every time he came home from work, if he didn't like something, he would throw things and takes his anger out on me. He is away from home on his day off, so that was the only time I could spend with my son in peace. My son can't speak or understand the situation yet. I didn't want him to hear our arguments. Then one day, I woke up in the middle of the night, and my husband was not there. He went to bed before me last night. Did he go to the bathroom or something? I went back to bed and waited for a while, but there was no sign of my husband coming back into the room. I was worried, so I got out of the bed and went to the living room. The living room lights was on, and I found my husband sitting on the sofa. He was on the phone with someone. He had his back on me, so he wasn't aware that I was there. I was about to open the living room door. You know what? I can't wait to get divorced. Divorce? That's what he said. I took a breath and decided to wait and see. My wife? She's sleeping. She doesn't work that hard, but she sleeps a lot. She's not good at housework either. I don't know why I married such a loser. I can't wait to get divorced and be with you. A lot of heartless, horrible words stopped my heart. When I realized, tears were falling from my eyes. He keeps dissing me like that. Is he cheating on me? Divorce me. What about Eli? I went back into the bedroom without saying a word to my husband. I put a blanket over my head and fell asleep again. The next day was a weekend, so my husband went out in the morning. Now that I think about it, maybe he had been going out on weekends because he was meeting someone he was having an affair with. I'm not talking about weekends only. Overtime work and drinking sessions. I wonder if he was just making up excuses for everything and making time for his lover. The more I think about it, the more I think it was true. What if he really was cheating on me? What will happen to Eli? Suddenly, I was overcome with anxiety, and just like last night, I began to cry involuntarily. That's when it happened. The intercom rang, and I came to my senses. I opened the front door to find my mother-in-law standing there with a gentle smile on her face. Long time no see, Violet. I missed you. Oh, hi. Good to see you. But what's up? You used to come over to our house, but you got busy with your job, didn't you? And I wanted to see baby Eli, so I came to visit. I see. Thank you. I'm sorry it's been a while. It's okay. Raising a child while working full-time must be hard. You're a great mom, Violet. My mother-in-law's words of encouragement brought tears back to my eyes. Then she, perhaps hearing the sound of me sniffing, talking to me in a concerned tone. What's wrong, Violet? Something happened? No, I'm fine. You're not fine? Tell me what's wrong. All right, I'll make you some tea first. Here, I brought some cake. Let's eat it together. My mother-in-law stood in the kitchen for me and makes some tea. She puts the cake on the plate and offered it to me quietly Something must have happened, right? Violet, is it about Luis? Well, I knew something must have happened, since you didn't come to our house lately. Violet, you can tell me anything. My mother-in-law gently held my hand and looked straight at me. I didn't want to tell her about her son's infidelity, but I was already at my limit. Actually, I think Luis is having an affair. An affair? Is he cheating on you? Yes, probably. I heard them talking on the phone last night. He said he wanted to divorce me. What? I'm gonna talk to him right now. Where is he? I don't know. And even if I question him now, I don't have any proof. Proof? Yeah, I just found out yesterday, so I don't have any proof. When I look at the sofa, my son was sleeping peacefully. I didn't want him to hear about the divorce, even if he didn't know what it meant. My mother-in-law, on the other hand, had been giving me a difficult look. Then she looked up, as if she had just thought of something. All right, Violet. All you have to do is gather evidence. What? Gather evidence? But I've got work to do. And Eli is with me. I don't have time. That's okay. We'll leave it to the professionals. Professionals? Yes. I have a friend who got divorced because her husband cheated on her. She said she hired a PI. So, I'll ask her for more details. Really? That'll be great. My mother-in-law encouraged me to do so. And a few days later, I decided to request a background check on my husband from the agency she told me about. I asked my mother-in-law to keep this matter quiet until I got the detailed results. A week later, I went to the detective agency to pick up the result. The result was, of course, exactly what I predicted. Shortly after confirming my husband's infidelity, I collapsed at work. My colleague took me to the hospital, where I found that my fever was over 104. I'd been feeling lightheaded for a while now, but I had no idea it was this bad. I called my mother-in-law. She said she would pick up my son from daycare and take care of him at her house. After that, she showed up in the hospital room. Violet! Are you alright? I heard you have a high fever. I'm sorry to bother you. I'm okay. Oh my gosh, you must be exhausted. You need a rest now. As my mother-in-law was laying me down, my phone buzzed in my bag. I asked my mother-in-law to pick up the phone. It was from my husband. When the call came in again, I picked it up and turned on the speaker. The sound of my husband's yelling echoed through the room. In contrast to my shaking shoulders, my mother-in-law's face was stained with anger. I had to show my mother-in-law what my husband was really like. I continued my conversation with him. I'm sorry, I'm in the hospital. What? Why? What about the housework? Why the hell are you in the hospital anyway? Actually, my fever is over 104, and I have to stay in the hospital for the night. So, don't be ridiculous. Staying at the hospital for a fever? Are you kidding me? But the doctor told me to rest today. Shut up. Go get your ass out of the hospital, even if you have to crawl back home. You're the housekeeper. He said that and hung up the phone. At the moment, I felt that my feelings for my husband had completely gone. I have no more feelings for him. I didn't need to worry about divorce after he'd said all the things he wanted to say to me. My mother-in-law seemed to have understood my decision. She looked at me and gave a small sigh. What a scumbag. I'm ashamed he's my son. I'm sorry things turned out this way. No, you don't need to apologize. I'm glad I learned about my son's true nature. Now, I can join you in your revenge without hesitation. Oh, really? Yes. Your nightmare ends here. Come on, Violet. Now, let's start fighting back. My mother-in-law handed me with divorce papers. She must have gotten it on the way to the hospital. I signed it right there and prepared for the divorce. My mother-in-law agreed to stay with me at the hospital that day. I decided to rest for the time being. My husband kept calling me, but my mother-in-law told me to ignore him. The next day, my fever went down, and I was able to leave the hospital. I went to my in-laws' house where my son was waiting. My mother-in-law had already told my father-in-law what had happened. We all called my husband that night. A few hours later, just as I was putting my son to bed, my husband arrived at my in-laws' house. My parents-in-law and my husband are sitting across from each other. Mom, Dad, what's going on? My husband played the gentle son as usual. When I showed up, he frowned for a moment, but his smile returned immediately. Hey, Violet! I'm sorry I couldn't come get you in the hospital. I've been busy with work, you know. I sarcastically replied to him. Work? You were having an affair, weren't you? What? What are you talking about? I would never do such a thing. Don't be silly. In front of my parents. Do you really think the excuse will work now? What's the matter, Violet? Are you mad at me? I know you are having an affair. Here's the proof. I took the photos I got from the agency and laid them out in front of my husband. As soon as he saw them, his smile instantly disappeared. What the hell is all this stuff doing here? I hired a detective agency to look into it, and they found all of this evidence. No. This is just for fun. I mean, it's not serious. Trust me. For fun? Yeah, it was just a fling, you know? Even my dad cheated on my mom once or twice. Right, Dad? It's normal for a man. My husband tried desperately to get his in-laws to agree, but all they would give him were icy stares. His face gradually turned pale and his voice began to tremble. Violet, I'm sorry. I'm sorry I cheated on you. But I was lonely, and you were always talking about Eli. What are you apologizing for? Do you think I'm mad at you for cheating on me? You're not? I'm sick and tired of everything about him. He's got his weird smile on his face, and he's reaching for my hand. I shook his hand off as hard as I could and said to him, I don't give a damn about your affair. What hurt me the most was the abuse I received on a daily basis. You treat me like I'm your housekeeper. I don't need an apology for cheating. I don't care. I just wanted a normal family. I guess you don't even know what that means. Hey, Violet, calm down. Huh? Calm down? What the hell you can say to me to calm down? Whose fault is it that we are in this mess? It's all your fault. Your parents know all about what you've done to me. All of us here will never forgive you, no matter what. And I will do whatever it takes to push you over the edge. My husband fell to his knees. clutching his head and screaming in agony. I confronted him with the divorce papers and demanded his signature. He quietly fell to signing the papers, as his parents were there. After that, my son and I decided to stay with my in-laws until we found a new place. In between visit to the lawyer's office, I demanded the lump sum of alimony from him and his partner. Eventually, I rented an apartment near my work and moved in with my son. I still keep in touch with my in-laws and have dinner with them regularly. I don't think I will ever see my ex-husband again. But my son has his grandparents. They seem to feel the same way and are very protective of my son. I would like to continue to have a good relationship with my in-laws.
After giving birth to twins, my husband told me to be a housekeeper for him and his mistress, but he doesn't know.
I only married you because of your looks. I'm not interested in you now. After the pregnancy, you got ugly day by day. My loving husband cruelly told me when I came home after giving birth to the twins. All the things I had shared with them, all the memories we shared, all of it just crumbled away. He simply cut me off, as if I was no longer of any value to him. After the birth of my children, I was left with only one task: to be his housekeeper. My husband threatened me with the divorce if I refused. I was deeply disappointed in him. I've had enough of this. I will tell the truth to this selfish husband right here, right now. I wonder how he would react when he finds out everything. I smiled to myself quietly. My name is Lauren. I got married 6 years ago with my husband Brody. When we first got married, my father lent me a plot of land in his name. He also left me $50,000 to put a down payment on a house. He was so happy that I got married. We decided to use the money as a down payment and build a house on the land. We both had enough money saved up, and our monthly income was fine. We decided to build a custom-built house in my husband's name, not a house for sale. 6 years have passed since our marriage, and I am carrying 2 babies in my tummy. After 4 years of fertility treatment, we finally blessed with our children. We were told that both of them would be boys. As an only child, having a brother or sister was an unknown world to me. I am now in a stable period and 6 months pregnant. At first, my husband and I had planned to get all the baby stuff together as soon as possible. But I'm not ready for that yet, because my husband says he is busy at work. He seemed to be working overtime almost every day. If I don't get the baby stuff within the next month, I wouldn't be ready until I go back to my hometown to have the babies. I knew I was running out of time, so I decided to ask my husband firmly. Recently, he comes home from work after 11 p.m. I usually go to bed before he does, but I rubbed my sleepy eyes and waited for him to come home. Finally, at 11:30 p.m., I heard the front door open. My husband appeared in the living room, and I immediately started talking to him. "Welcome home, Brody." "Hey, what is it?" "I'm tired." "We need to get all the baby stuff together soon. I don't have much time." "I'm going home next month, remember?" "I'm busy. You can do it on your own." "What?" "We talked about going to the store together." "I said I'm busy. You're on maternity leave, and I'm struggling to make ends meet." "But I took maternity leave early, but it's not because I don't want to work. Since it will be twins, it is only natural to prepare carefully and early. Even my husband knows that I have to go back to my parents' house in a few weeks. I wonder if he can't even make time for just one day. I understand that he's busy, but when I think of our unborn children, I can't afford to be sloppy in my preparations. Normally, I would have given up, but on this day, I was different. Please, Brody, just one day. I told you I'm busy. Now, shut it. Why? Why did you suddenly become so busy? You've been working overtime every day. You've even started working on weekends. That's... What? Can you tell me the reason? You make it sound like it's my fault. I didn't say that. I'm just asking why you were so busy. Shut up. I'm not going anyway. You know, there's the internet and everything. Then he pulled a couple of $100 bills out of his wallet and slammed them on the table. Take that money and buy baby stuff. I was sad and angry at the same time by his heartless comment. If he can't do what I'm asking him to do, there's no point in talking to him anymore. I gave up going with him and asked my mother to accompany me shopping in my hometown. A month later, on the day of the trip, my husband was at work. When I first found out I was pregnant, whenever I visit my parents, he always drove me there. But this time, he said he couldn't because he was busy. I had no choice but to call my father to come and pick me up. In the car on the way to my parents' house, my father opened his mouth a little angrily. Brody was going to give you a ride home, wasn't he? I didn't know what to say. I heard he's been busy with work lately. Your mother told me you were going shopping for baby stuff with her, right? You were going to get it with Brody, weren't you? I told you he can't. He's busy. Even if he's busy with work, he could at least go shopping, you know? I've asked him many times too, but he's just said he doesn't have time. I see. My father still looked like he wanted to say something. I didn't want to talk about my husband anymore, so I turned my attention outside. I guess he knew how I felt. He drove me home without saying a word. A few months later, I gave birth to twins. I'd been in the care of my parents for 2 months. Today is the day I go back to my husband's after a long time. I can finally take my children and go back to my life with my husband. Normally, I would be happy to see him today, but my feelings were indescribable. There was a heaviness in my heart because my husband never once came to see me to my parents' house, not only during my pregnancy and even after our sons were born. Not even for a single day. I tried to contact him many times. His response was, I'm busy. I don't have time to come over. I was beyond angry. Even my parents were furious. So my parents contacted Brody several times, but he never responded. In the car on the way home, my father became a little irritated and broached the subject. If you go back to Brody and think it's impossible to live with him, you can call me anytime. I'll come and get you. Thank you, Dad. I'm glad you said that. You're the one who chose him, and I don't want to think he's too bad of a guy. But Brody's attitude is unforgivable. I'll have a little chat with him when we get home. Okay. But I don't know if he'll be there. I don't care. Let me wait with you until he gets home. Thank you, Dad. I'd appreciate it. I'm sure Brody will change his attitude a little if he got a direct order from my dad. With this faint hope in my heart, I returned home with my father. I came home for the first time in months. When I inserted the key into the keyhole of the front door, then I felt a strange sensation. It wouldn't go all the way in. No matter how many times I tried, I couldn't get the key all the way in. Fortunately, the lights were on. I know that my husband is already home. So I pressed the intercom and hear a woman's voice. As I stood there, the front door opened. A strange woman came out of the door. She looks puzzled and called out to me. "Excuse me? Who are you?" This is my house." "What?" "My husband bought this house about 2 months ago." 2 months ago? I was shocked that I couldn't help but raise my voice. She reacted as if she had just thought of something. "Ah, are you Brody's wife, by any chance?" "Yes." "How do you know my husband?" "My husband bought this house from Brody, a senior colleague of his at work." "What do you mean he bought it?" "We had a baby last year, and we didn't have time to move. We're thinking of building a house, and Brody gave us a reasonable price. We paid $50,000 in one lump sum, and the rest will be paid in installments." "Well, of course you know that because you're his wife. I'm sorry." My father and I looked at each other. We knew it was more than just a coincidence. The couple, Mr. and Mrs. Patterson, were kind enough to let us have some time. I immediately called my husband and asked him to explain the situation. "Hey, Brody, what the hell is going on?" "Oh, you're back." My husband sounded annoyed over the phone. "You, housekeeper. Skipping chores, leaving the house for a long time." "Cut the crap. Just explain to me why someone else is living in our house. Did you sell it? Are you crazy?" "What? It doesn't matter. The house is in my name." "Huh? Where the hell are you, anyway?" "I'm staying at Hilton with my girlfriend." "Girlfriend?" "Yeah. I just sent it to you. Look at the picture." Attached to the message on my phone was a picture of my husband cuddling with a young woman. For all intents and purposes, they are as close as lovers can get. I still can't wrap my head around this situation, and he confronts me with an unforgiving reality. "Look, I only married you because of your looks. I'm not interested in you now. After the pregnancy, you got ugly day by day." "What? Are you serious?" "Yeah. That's why I started having a relationship with her. You started getting fat and bloated. Anyway, I'm going to live with her. And you are going to be my housekeeper from this day forward." "Housekeeper? Are you kidding me?" "I'll send you my address. Come here quickly." He hung up the phone and sent me the address of the hotel. You've got to be kidding me. At the moment, I felt an inexpressible anger flare up like a flame. My father's face, who was listening to the whole thing, was burning too. I could see his body trembling with anger. Mrs. Patterson looks at us with a curious gaze. I called out to her to tell them the truth. "Excuse me, is your husband here?" "Yes, he is." "I'd like to talk to him. Could you go get him?" "Okay, one moment please." After that, I showed him the photos my husband had sent me and explained the situation. Apparently, my husband's affair partner was a colleague at the same company. Mr. Patterson was deeply surprised. When he was furious and said he could not forgive my husband, his wife was the same. As a parent with a child, they can't forgive what my husband did, they said. When I was about to contact my husband again, he called me just in time. I took a deep breath and pressed the answer button. What? He yelled through the phone. Hey, you're gonna keep me waiting forever. Get your ass over here and cook us dinner. I tell him calmly. I'm not going to be your housekeeper. What? I'm offering you a job here. To be my housekeeper. If you don't like it, I'll divorce you. You don't know anything. What? What do you mean? What don't I know? The Pattersons are suing you. What? As soon as he heard the word sue, my husband turned weak. He sounded anxious, and I told him the truth. Suing? Why? Because you deceived them. What are you talking about? I didn't deceive them. I just sold them a house in my name, at a discount. Yeah? You sold a house? But what about the land? What? No way. The land. Remember? This land doesn't belong to you. It's in my father's name. The only reason we haven't had to pay for the land so far is that my father owns it. So if you and the Pattersons family want to live here, you'll have to pay for the land every month. Did you explain that to them? My husband's voice is inarticulate as I explain the situation. Perhaps he's not quite grasping the situation, so I carefully break down what I had told him so that even he could understand. My father said he will charge you for the land if someone else lives in the house. But the Pattersons never heard that from you. They said that when they bought the house, the land was never mentioned. Well, There's only one solution here. Either you buy the land from them, or you can pay for the land. By the way, they said they would sue you if you don't pay for the land. For fraud. You know, fraud? No, wait a minute. I don't have that kind of money. You got your $50,000. That'll pay for a while. I can't afford it. I've already spent all the money on the hotel and vacationed with my girlfriend. Please, Lauren, do something. Ask your father to give the land to the Pattersons for free. Even after all this, he's still trying to get by, taking no responsibility. He's still trying to use me to save his ass. I'm so disgusted with him that I can't speak. As I fell silent, my husband continued to plead with me. Hey, are you listening to me, Lauren? I'll leave her. I'll help you raise the kids. So please, ask your father to do something about it. Look, your husband's asking for help. Do something. If he had come to see me and the twins just once, it might have changed the outcome. But instead of coming to see me, he sold the house on his own. He used the money to stay at a luxury hotel with the woman he cheated on me with. And he treated me like a housekeeper after the babies were born. I have no sympathy for such a person. I fought back in anger that was rising in me and vented my resentment. You son of a bitch. You want my help? Who the hell do you think you are? Do you have any idea what an asshole you've been to me? I've suffered so much because of you. And you think one flimsy apology will get you forgiveness? Lauren, wait, calm down. How can I calm down under such circumstances? You cheat on your wife and sell the house without asking. And to top it all off, you want me to be your housekeeper? You've got to be kidding me. I'm not stupid to let you take advantage of me. I don't need another piece of shit like you. I don't want you in my life anymore. So, get out of my sight. I ended the call and immediately blocked my husband's contact information. All that remained was to divorce this scumbag of a husband. After that, Brody apologized to the Patterson. But they are on my side. They said they would sue him if he didn't pay for the land. Finally, Brody brought the land from my father, and the problem was solved. I hired a lawyer to file a claim against Brody and his partner for the alimony. In addition, I demanded child support from him. He had to move out of the Hilton, of course. He and his mistress seemed to broke up. Mr. Patterson made my husband's affair known to the company. The mistress resigned because she couldn't take it anymore. Brody became distant from everyone around him and completely isolated. However, he had accumulated a lot of payments, so he cannot quit the company. For some time to come, almost all of his income will be used to pay his bills. He will not be able to live a life of freedom for some time to come. I, on the other hand, went back to my parents' house right after that. I explained the situation to the company, and they made me work remotely, so I was able to return to work without incident. There will be times in the future when my children will be inconvenienced by their father's absence. Even so, I want to raise them with a lot of love and care.
My husband takes his 5-month-old niece home for me to take care of, but she was really a...
We're taking care of my niece, starting today. Huh? What did you just say? I said we're taking care of my niece here. You are a housewife, so you can take care of her too. Okay? When my husband came home, I found the baby, his niece, in his arms. She's not very expressive, and even though she's only 5 months old, she doesn't drink much milk. When I asked him how my sister-in-law was taking care of her, he just said that I have to figure it out on my own. After a while, I called my mother-in-law to get her contact information. What she told me was something unexpected. I see. So, that's what it is. I finally understood what was going on. I'm his wife, and he's taking advantage of me. I'll show him what I can do. My name is Chloe. Before I was married to my husband Justin, I was a daycare teacher. I resigned from my job when I got married, and now I support my husband as a housewife. My husband Justin works for a startup company and leaves the house at 7 a.m. every morning. I thought that if possible, I wanted to continue working, save money until we have children. However, 1 month before we were to get married, he suddenly said, "Chloe, I'm sorry if this is selfish or me, but if we get married, will you quit your job and become a housewife?" What? A housewife? Why? So you can focus on things around the house. I can work even harder if I'm comfortable at home. Well, I think we should both keep working until we have kids. I know, but I want my wife to stay at home. I'll give you enough money every month. So, what do you say? There was no space for me to say no, because he was so serious. I always liked doing housework to begin with, so I just said yes. That's how I ended up becoming a full-time housewife upon my marriage. 2 years has passed since then, and for the second time in a row, I haven't received the money from my husband. I decided to talk to him about it over dinner. Hey, I need to pay the rent soon. And I'm thinking of going to the hairdresser tomorrow. So, can I have the money for this month? Oh, about that? Can you manage it with half the amount from now on? What? Why? Well, my salary has gone down a little, so I can only give you less. Is that so? How long? I don't know. Just hold on for the time being, right? It should get back to normal soon. Okay, got it. After that, even though I tried, I have to dip into my savings frequently. One day, I began to feel uncomfortable with my husband's behavior. At first, it didn't bother me, and I didn't think anything about it. My husband started working late because he wanted to increase his salary. He always came home before 7 p.m. But these days, he would always come home after 11 p.m. And then one day, my husband didn't come home until after midnight. I was so worried that I called him, but he didn't answer the phone at all. He had never been this unresponsive before. What if it was an accident? A bad premonition came over me, and my heart started to beat faster. If he doesn't come home by tomorrow morning, I'll call the police. Just as I was thinking that, I heard the front door open. I went running to the door as fast as I could to make sure my husband was safe. But then, my eyes were caught by an extraordinary sight. What? What is that baby? In my husband's arms was a tiny baby. I guess she was around 6 months old. But why would he be holding a baby? I had no clue. As I was totally puzzled, my husband said something I couldn't believe. This is my niece. She's my sister's baby. We're going to take care of her from today. What? What did you just say? I said we are taking care of her here. Her name is Willow. She's 5 months old, I think. I'm counting on you, Chloe. Hold on. Wait a minute. I don't understand this. My husband suddenly came home with a 5-month-old baby in his arm. He said she's my sister-in-law's child. But I believe my sister-in-law followed her husband on his job transfer and is now living in California. I had no idea what was going on, so I asked for an explanation. Hey, please, explain it to me. I thought your sister was in California for her husband's work. Well, I heard they got divorced. Divorced? Really? She came to our wedding with her husband. They seemed to get along so well. Getting a divorce when the baby is still 5 months old? Don't ask me. I'm not them, you know. Anyway, my sister's divorced now and came back here for work. So she wants us to take care of Willow until her salary is stable. Oh my gosh. I don't know. Is this for real? Wait, what about your mom? Would it be easier for your sister and the baby to stay with your parents? Then my husband opened his mouth with a stuttering voice and an expression of displeasure on his face. Actually, my sister hasn't told her parents about the divorce yet. She said she will tell them herself when she gets settled. What? But that doesn't mean we have to take care of the baby, right? I know, but my sister is getting through a tough time. Besides, she left Willow with us for a reason. What do you mean? You were a daycare teacher, weren't you? So, you are good with babies, right? And you are a housewife now. You have free time during the day. What's that supposed to mean? I have free time because I'm a housewife? I don't get it. You know what I mean? Come on, Chloe. Here. My husband forced me to have the baby. and snuck into the house. I thought we were going to talk about what to do now, but he started drinking beer without a care in the world. Justin, are you kidding me? I raised my voice and my niece Willow started to cry aloud. My husband didn't seem to help me at all, so I asked him in frustration. Hey, where are the diapers? She's crying. I'll change her diaper and give her some milk. What's that? I don't bring anything. Huh? You didn't keep any of her baby stuff from your sister? I don't think so. Are you kidding me? Then what the hell are you going to do with it? I don't know. My husband got upset and kept drinking his beer. I had no choice but to leave my niece with my husband and run to the 24-hour drugstore. I got her some diapers, baby formula, bottles, and wipes. Her skin looked so dry, I thought she might need some moisturizer too. I put them all in a basket and went through the checkout counter. I hurried home, changed her diaper, fed her, and gave her a bath. And she finally calmed down. I used to be a daycare teacher, so I can take care of the baby, okay. But I was still confused with the situation. At that point, it was already past midnight. While I was giving Willow a bath, my husband already went to bed. The next morning, when I saw that Willow was asleep, I woke my husband up. Hey, Justin, wake up. Huh? What is it? I was late last night. I need more sleep. Don't be silly. It's your day off. Willow needs some clothes. She doesn't have anything to put on. I'll go get them. So, watch her, okay? What? Why? It's getting colder. Why is she wearing only underwear? Don't tell me. My sister gave her to me like that. Don't be irresponsible. Anyway, I'll get her some in a hurry. So, don't let her out of your sight. I told my husband, who was still in bed, and I hurried to a nearby shopping mall. There I bought some clothes and toys and hurried home again. As I opened the front door, I heard Willow's cries. I rushed to the living room and found Willow on the sofa, crying hysterically. My husband was standing next to her, fiddling with his phone. He was enjoying watching a video alone, without paying attention to Willow's crying. What are you doing, Justin? She suddenly started crying. Why do you leave her alone then? You know she's crying so much. Don't you care enough to hold her and calm her down? Why are you so angry? It's not a big deal. Now that you're home, give her some milk. Huh? Don't make me do everything. I'm paying for everything out of my savings. Not only today, but for the past few months. Will you give me that money back? Well, that's enough. This situation is ridiculous. I'll talk to your sister directly. Give me her contact. I'm a former childcare worker, but there are some things I don't know. How much milk she drinks, how much sleep she gets, and what kind of things she likes. If I'm going to take care of Willow, I at least want to meet her needs and treat her responsibly. In order to do that, I need to know how my sister-in-law treated her. But when I asked my husband for her contact information, he refused to give it to me. After all, he became a little angry and he yelled at me. Why do you have to ask my sister? Think for yourself. What? Are you being serious? Willow is now in a place she's not used to. It's only fair to ask her mother what her lifestyle was like. I don't give a shit about that. Regular feedings and diaper changes. That's all you need to know. Anyway, just do whatever you have to do until my sister comes to get her. Seriously? What the hell, Justin? My husband sighed loudly and got up from the sofa. He grabbed his wallet and phone and walked out of the house. Unbelievable. So irresponsible. What is he thinking? When he was the one who took her home here. I need to take care of my niece in a safe and secure environment. I decided to contact my mother-in-law for help. Although my husband said she still didn't know about my sister-in-law's divorce, now is not the time to worry about that. After taking care of Willow and putting her to bed, I called my mother-in-law. Hello? Hi, it's me, Chloe. Oh, hi, Chloe. It's been a while. Willow, who had been sleeping, let out a small cry in response to my voice. My mother-in-law heard it and opened her mouth in surprise. Chloe, I just heard a baby crying. I'm sorry. That's why I called you today. I have some questions I'd like to ask you about this baby, Willow. Can you tell me your daughter's contact information? My daughter? I wonder what the baby has to do with my daughter. What? Because Willow is her child? That's what Justin said when he brought her home. No, that can't be true. My daughter has a girl, but she's already 3 years old. And my daughter's family is on an overseas trip. What? My mother-in-law's words messed up my mind. It's too different from what my husband told me. Oh, is your daughter divorced? When I asked her the most important question, she denied it with surprise. Divorced? No way. They just visited here last month for vacation. There's no way she's divorced. At the moment, the trust I had built up with my husband began to collapse. Everything he said about this niece was a lie. At the same time, I had a lot of bad thoughts in my head. My mother-in-law seemed to feel the same way and asked me in a trembling voice, Chloe, then Justin brought the baby with him, right? And he told you it was his niece. Oh my gosh. I know. I'm sorry. I think I need to do some research. I don't expect the result would be very good. I know. I heard you. I'll keep my mouth shut until we know what we're dealing with. After I finished talking to my mother-in-law, I hurried to check the detective agency. With Willow there, I couldn't take the time to visit the agency in person. So I found out that I could request an investigation remotely. I immediately requested a background check on my husband. For a few weeks, I kept my composure. My husband was always home after midnight, as if he didn't want to see me. A week later, a representative from the agency came to my house with the result of the investigation. The result was something I had expected, of course. Sure enough, my husband was having an affair, and every night on his way home from work, he would stop by his partner's house. The detective told me that Willow was probably the child of the affair. My husband took advantage of the fact that I used to be a daycare teacher and left Willow with me because he didn't want the child to be disturbed. I couldn't stop being angry at my husband's selfish and despicable behavior. I waited for him to come home that day until after midnight. A few hours later, my husband showed up. I took the opportunity to say to him, "Welcome home. Did you enjoy your time with your mistress?" What? What did you say? Mistress? What are you talking about? I already know everything. What the? I confronted him with the photo evidence of the affair. I could see his face turn pale and he was obviously upset. When did you take those pictures? I called your mother to get your sister's contact information. She surprised me. Your sister has not divorced, and she's currently abroad with her 3-year-old daughter. No. This is... What? She's not divorced and she doesn't have a 5-month-old daughter? Is that right? Willow is yours, isn't she? You and mistresses. Wait a minute. I'm being careful, you know? She tricked me. He was making up excuses, as if it's not his fault. She was the one who came on to me. I was just having fun. Nothing serious. I don't even know if Willow is really mine. My husband told me that in no uncertain terms and asked for my forgiveness. I was so disgusted by him that I felt nausea welling up inside me. I said to him forcefully, "You've got to be kidding me. You don't know if she's yours or not? Don't be irresponsible. Then get a DNA test or something and prove it. I'm telling you, even if it wasn't your child, I won't forgive you. You cheated on me and betrayed me." Chloe, calm down. No, there's nothing more to talk. You betrayed not only me, but also your mother and sister. I apologize. I'm sorry. So please calm down. Why should I calm down? You and your mistress don't even understand any parental responsibilities. My husband keeps apologizing over and over again with tears in his eyes. But it doesn't change my mind. This man has done the worst thing to me, his wife. It took a long time, but I divorced my husband. I also demanded alimony from his mistress and received a lump sum payment. Justin and his mistress got into debt because of the alimony. Because of that, they started arguing a lot, and eventually, they terminated the relationship. Of course, his mother and sister didn't offer him any help. He lied and cheated on his wife and made her take care of the baby he made with another woman. No woman could forgive him for what he's done. As for Willow, she was taking care of at her mother's parents' house. When I was saying goodbye to her, Willow smiled at me for the first time. She is the child of my husband and the woman with whom he had an affair. Normally, I would have felt hatred for her, but strangely enough, I didn't. The child was innocent. It's the cheater who is to blame. I'm divorced and living alone now, but I still think of Willow from time to time. There may be times in the future when Willow will be in trouble because her parents are not around. But I hope that she will grow up strong and resilient in the face of hardship. That's all I can hope for now.
My husband insulted my family for having low educational backgrounds.
I am in the most desperate moment of my life. I'm shaking with every ounce of blood in my body. I can't even bring myself to cry. I look up fearfully with a stiff face. In front of me are the divorce papers, and my husband, with a worried smile on his face, insulting me and my parents. I knew I deserved a woman who was highly educated and classy. At least not a woman who inherited her parents' genes from a middle school graduate. You are useless. You are nothing but a piece of trash to me. You are a high school graduate with no job, a middle school graduate father who works for a company I've never heard of, and an unemployed mother with no job. I'm not going to support this family with my hard-earned money. My husband's attitude changed as soon as we got married. He only thinks of me as an outlet for his stress. But I still believed in him. Taking care of the house was the only thing I could do for him. But one word from me led to the end of our relationship. It must have been humiliating for him to be confronted by me, a high school graduate, no matter what. How did this happen? All I wanted was to make a happy family. In spite of my apologies, I knew that the husband I loved was gone. Anger, sadness, hopelessness. I was still in tears, unable to sort out my feelings. At that time, I knew nothing. I didn't know what would happen to my pathetic husband, who could only judge people by their educational background. My name is Kara. My dream has always been to be a mother. From my early age, I looked up to my own mother. I wanted to get married as soon as possible, have children, and become the ideal mother. In the morning, I would wake up my husband and children, who slept late. I would prepare a delicious breakfast for them and make sure they had plenty to eat. I soak up the happiness of watching them and see them off with a smile. I would clean the house, prepare snacks for the kids, and think about what to have for dinner. When my husband comes home, we all take a bath and eat dinner together, kissing the kids goodnight and going to sleep every night so they don't get anxious. This is the kind of life I dreamed of. I talked about this with all the boyfriends I've ever had, if I got married in the future. They all said it was too much for them and dumped me. That's understandable. I guess they thought I was naive, that they couldn't be that responsible. But I never gave up on my dream. I kept being honest with them. Then I met Evan at a party I was invited to by chance.
Kara, I think your dream is awesome. I'm the type of guy who wants my wife to focus on housework when I get married. I will be too happy if I had a lovely wife like you, Kara, waiting for me at home with kids.
I felt I was destined to be with this man who smiled at me like that. Soon, we started dating. I found him to be very fun and reliable. That there were some things that made him seem a little obsessive. One time when I served him a meal at my house,
maybe a little too much carbs. I like to eat more protein, you know. Put that in mind next time, okay?
And one day when we were out taking a walk together, a kid bumps into him and the kid apologized.
Hey, did you play in the sandbox? Damn, I got a little dirty. Don't worry, kid. I'm not gonna ask you to bring your parents over. But some adults can be really scary, you know? You better watch out. Got it?
I felt my husband was a bit mean in the way he said it, but I believed he was a nice, kind, and reliable guy. I decided to marry him after 6 months of knowing him. My father had a somewhat unconvinced look on his face. My mother agreed, saying if it would make me happy. My husband's parents accepted me as well. We got married and became a couple. I quit my job and spent every day doing housework. Every day, I was living my dream. I accepted all his criticism of my cooking and housework as great advice for a happy marriage. However, I began to think in a corner of my mind that maybe love is blind, or maybe it was a little too soon to marry him.
Kara, I'm home. I'm exhausted. My parents, my business partner complained to me again. It's really pissing me off. When I complained about it, my junior colleague said it was my fault too. What a jerk.
I see. It must have been tough. Thank you for working every day. Please tell me whatever you want. I'm a good listener, you know.
What? No, you don't know anything about having a job, do you? It's not like you've been in a business much. Oh, my bad. You have been in the business longer than me. You started working after graduating from high school. Sorry.
There he goes again. Ever since we got married, my husband has always made fun of me for having a high school diploma. My parents had prepared for my college education, but I wanted to return my favor to my parents by working hard and becoming an independent member of society. My husband graduated from a well-known university with high standards. He has been bragging about his high education ever since we started dating. He was also very proud of the big company he was working for. Working for a prestigious company is something you can't do without hard work. So I respected him for that. That's why I married him. And when we were dating, he didn't disrespect me that much. My husband must be under a lot of stress.
Well, since you are a stay-at-home wife, I'll teach you what it's like working in a huge company.
With that, my husband blurted out his complaints. In short, he said that his subordinates and the people in charge of his clients pointed out the mistake he made, and he didn't like the fact that they were all younger than him.
They've got a lot of nerve taking shots at me.
My husband's only been with the company for 3 years, so he's not that much older than them. That's what I thought as I listened.
Hey, are you listening to me? I'm trying to talk to you even though I'm tired. Can't you even make conversation pleasant?
I'm listening. I'm sorry. But they are almost the same age as you, aren't they? I just thought you could improve each other's as a team, you know?
What? Why are you giving me an opinion? Why are you talking over me like I'm not good enough?
That's not what I meant.
You should be thankful that I married you, even though you only graduated from high school. Don't you know how to respect your husband?
I regretted that I said anything to him. Whenever I say something he doesn't like, he verbally attacks me. As you can imagine, I'm getting a little tired of it. My father's face suddenly flashed through my mind. My husband grimaced and said something even more unforgivable.
Well, a middle school graduate like your father can only produce such a foolish daughter. A middle school graduate can only work at a local small business. Your dad's pathetic. Isn't he about to retire, isn't he? Do small businesses offer retirement benefits? I can't see myself living a life of normal people with just a little money. Well, don't worry. Mine is a big company. I'm getting a big retirement bonus.
Enough! You can make fun of me all you want, but please don't make fun of my father. I know you are under a lot of stress, but don't make it on me. I never get angry no matter what he says to me. But when he said that about my father, I lost my temper. I couldn't allow him to insult my father, who had worked so hard for the family. I said what I wanted to say and ran out of the house with my cell phone. The word divorce crossed my mind. But the crisp winter air cleared my anger-driven mind a little. I wanted to hear my father. I wanted to hear my father's voice. So I tried to call him, but I was afraid that I might worry him. I walked around in a daze, worrying. I found myself a long way from home. I will apologize to my husband when I get home. We've only been married for a few months. The fight we had today is just a blimp in what will be a long future. Something much worse could happen. I can't marry anyone if I'm thinking about getting divorced over something like this. When I arrived home, my husband was already asleep. Tomorrow is his day off, and I will make him all the meals he likes. and I would apologize. With that thought, I also went to sleep. In the morning, my husband woke up and left with a grumpy look on his face. He didn't mention what had happened yesterday, but I guess he was still feeling awkward. As I was making lunch, thinking about how I should apologize again, he came home. "Hi, honey. I'm sorry. I was so rude to you yesterday. I'll make you a lot of your favorite dishes today, so feel free to request anything."
Whatever. Sit down. We need to talk. Then he quickly put a piece of paper in front of me.
"What? Isn't this?"
Yeah. You recognize it. It's a divorce petition. Yesterday, it became clear to me that you and I don't much.
I felt a chill, as if all the blood in my body had drained out of me. Had I been so hard on my husband that he wanted a divorce? I couldn't say anything, so I kept silent, and he opened his mouth.
I've been thinking about it, since you left yesterday. I knew that a high school graduate wife with a middle school graduate parents who works for a small business was no match for me. I married you because you were kind of cute, and I thought you would be at my beck and call. But I didn't realize you were such a useless one. I tried to talk, but I couldn't speak.
I should have gotten down on my knees and asked him to forgive me. I shouldn't have said anything back. As if to push me away, my husband continued.
Well, I'm sure there are more intelligent and refined women out there who are more suitable for me. Don't worry about me. I'll remarry soon. You will have a hard time now that I'm no longer your breadwinner. You are a high school graduate with no job, with a middle school graduate father and an unemployed mother. I don't want to have to support a bottom-feeding family like this with the money I earn.
My husband smirked and fluttered the divorce papers in front of me.
You should look up divorce procedures on the internet. You could at least do that, right? Oh, I'll give you the house. It's in your name anyway. Bye.
With that, he left with his belongings, which were probably already packed. My head is all messed up. I don't know what to do anymore. All I wanted was to get married, have children, and live happily ever after. I just wanted my father to see his grandchildren. I don't know how I got into this mess. I looked at the untouched meal I had prepared for my husband and cried out loud. I felt so hopeless. If I could go back to yesterday's fight, I would. I should have smiled and listened to him like I always do. I clutched the divorce papers and cried for a long time. After all, my husband didn't come home. After a few days, when I felt a little better, I started to look into divorce proceedings. I went back to my parents' house for the time being. While I was in a daze, I received a call on my cell phone.
Oh, Kara? Can I meet your father? I'd like to talk to him. I didn't know that the company he works for was so famous.
I knew it. He called. I was just thinking over the past few days that my ex-husband must be in a lot of trouble right now. The company my father works for is a long-established local publicity traded company that's pretty well known in the area. It just so happened that my father and a friend from work were talking about my divorce. I had mentioned my ex-husband's behavior towards me as a topic of conversation. Sure enough, my father's friends who were close to us were offended. They even contacted me out of concern. The rumor kept spreading, and to my surprise, they reached the company where my ex-husband worked. It was affecting my ex-husband's position at the company. I heard that he was trying to make me the bad guy about this divorce. But when the board members heard the rumors and confronted him, he relented and told them the truth. My ex-husband was even considered for disciplinary action by the company. I was sure he would come crying to me, but I didn't care about my ex-husband anymore. I was more impressed by my father's ability to build relationships with integrity. I had a newfound respect for him. My father was the one who was most surprised, actually.
So, I am in trouble. You understand it, right? Your husband, the man you love so much, is in trouble. If your father would just talk to me, this will all be over. And then we'll be together again. And if you want, you can bring your father to live with us, you know? We'll make it as good as it was, if not better. You want me with you, don't you? No one's gonna take you, a high school graduate, an unemployed woman like you, anyway.
What? What are you talking about? First of all, we are divorced. We're already strangers. Wouldn't it be great if you lose your job, you don't have to make any mistakes, and people won't point them out? You're not gonna be under any stress. Good for you. And I have a job, you know. I'm making a good living, thank you very much. I don't have to care about your stupid idea of educational backgrounds. And I don't have to be made fun of anymore. I am very content every day. I mean, why don't you rely on the person you're cheating on me with? I'm not the one you should rely on, am I?
What are you talking about?
My ex-husband got flustered and clumped up. The day my ex-husband confronted me for the divorce paper and left me, after I had cried a lot, it occurred to me. He left me so easy. It was a woman's intuition or some kind of a gut feeling. I wondered if there was a possibility that he was cheating on me. I immediately hired a private detective. Soon after, they found a lot of evidence, and I decided to divorce him. I prepared everything I could to get everything I could. Anyway, I know all about it. I'm going to file a claim for alimony against you and your partner. Moreover, if you are going to ask for a favor, you should have a way of asking for it. Well, I guess you are the type of person who can't do that. I don't want to be with someone like that. It's a waste of my time. Why did I hang on to this guy? If I could go back in time, I would like to slap myself for letting you deceive me like that.
What the hell, Kara? Who do you think you are?
It's all your father's fault for being a middle school graduate.
Don't talk to me like that. I'll sue you for libel. Don't underestimate me. Prepare yourself.
With that, he hung up. That night, my ex-husband visited my parents' house. My ex-husband started cursing my father and me and making a scene. My mother called the police and submitted the recording I had made. When my ex-husband called me earlier that day, my mother told me to record it. That was immediately reported to my ex-husband's company, and he was dismissed from his job. When I asked for alimony at that time, my ex-husband came to my parents' house again and went on a rampage. He was taken to the police again for vandalism and was finally charged. He won't be able to get out for a while. After a while, I bought an apartment with the money that had been paid to me. My parents took the opportunity to sell the house and move into a nice apartment as well. Retirement benefits are just a system. Not a few companies don't offer it. My mother, not knowing what the future would bring, started building assets early on. When she came to realize it, It was a considerable amount of assets. I think it's foolish to assume that people don't have money just because of their educational backgrounds. Even if your father retires, it won't matter at all. We have plenty of savings, my mother said with a big smile on her face. Not only my father, but also my mother is great. What wonderful parents I was blessed with. It is fact that my marriage was a failure. But if you ask me if it was all misfortune, it wasn't. I learned a life lesson. I can't even think about marriage right now. But if I meet a wonderful person someday, I hope to make a wonderful couple like my father and mother.